Hey guys, okay, so I wanted to do something different. So what I wanted to do with this video is use a celebrity. So I'm going to use 50 Cent and his story and just try to connect everything to you guys so you can get a clear understanding of what I'm trying to say about mental health in this video. Okay. So 50 Cent, we all know who 50 Cent is through the music industry. He's sold over 30 million units worldwide. Huge contract with Glacier, the vitamin water deal that is, G Unit clothing, and the G Unit label, headphones, books, movies, the best cable series in the country, and that's Power. Um, and a host of other things that 50 has going on. So surely 50 Cent has excellent business savvy and strategy. All outstanding accomplishments. Kudos. I'm proud of 50. He's a brother, and I'm happy for him or whatever. But due to the trauma that he suffered, early on in his life, I often wonder about his mental health. Also, being a person who experienced trauma, I'm not trying to make him out to be a deranged person or something, but I was identifying with him and also like I said, just wanted to use him as a reference point. So, yeah, I was speaking on the trauma he suffered. So we know that when 50 was very young, he had a devastating loss when his mother, Sabrina, was murdered. To my understanding from the documentary, she was given some form of a sedative or something, and then they turned on the gas so that, to make sure that she wouldn't awake. Which is a murder, and that's very devastating for a child, to understand. So yeah, I think he was either 8 or 9 years old, and trying to explain that to them, and so in a song he did, the song is called "Strong Enough." He briefly spoke on being on Ritalin and how the drug made him feel or how it affected him. Okay, and this was after his mom's death and due to some behavior issues he was having under his grandparents' care. um I think he was grieving, which is very normal. I think they said he was being destructive in the documentary. He was destroying things or breaking things or whatever. Like I said again, which is very normal during the grieving process. I'm quite sure he felt broken on the inside and felt that his whole world was, being pulled apart. So he was probably, demonstrating that on items around the home. But, concerned grandparents, as they obviously were, they wanted to, get him some help. But, unfortunately for some of us, quacks will be just that. And they're still out here and they will prescribe anything to anyone or whatever. And 50 is like a year older than me. He's got me by a year. So at that time, when they were prescribing Ritalin, all the data wasn't released for Ritalin and drugs like it. And schizophrenia was, peaking high numbers in the 90s. And, they were just dishing out these random drugs, more or less testing people pretty much with these drugs. So we now have the information. We're on with that information. We know that Ritalin and drugs like it cause long-term effects. And it could show up in the form of sterilization, where, the man may not be able to reproduce. Or it could cause damage to your emotional intellect. And I'll just define it as causing a person to be detached emotionally from family or even from friends or even your marital spouse, that is your wife or your husband, because a drug like Ritalin, what it does, and this is my way of explaining it to you in layman's terms, is a drug like Ritalin, it maps off a certain section of your brain and it numbs it, right? And again, just to put it in layman's terms, it's like it numbs that part of your brain that it wants to shut up. It doesn't want you to have any type of reactions or be emotional, even if it's just normal emotional. They just don't want you having these, what I would call normal reactions. They want to shut that down, so that's what these drugs do. And I don't know. I just, with 50, as far as being emotionally detached, since I don't know him personally, I would say the experience that he had with Lloyd Banks, who's a longtime childhood friend of his, and his, rest in peace to Sabrina, first of all, because I did say her name. Rest in peace to Sabrina, and rest in peace to Lloyd Banks' father, who died a few years ago or whatever. But I think 50's reaction to Banks was to like get back to work, and just work through it and just come on, don't just sit back and be sad or whatever. And I think that Banks was hurt by that, that lack of sympathy that he needed from his friend at the time. Never mind the hell with 50 Cent, like he needed his friend at the time. And I think that 50 was like, just get back to work or whatever. But I would ask him, during that time, were you on, are you still taking the Ritalin, and, were you on it? Because it would explain how you could be, a little bit cold towards someone that you've known for so long. There could also be a whole bunch of other, circumstances going on there that we don't know about. But this is from, the outside looking in or whatever. So, that was one example of, the emotional detachment. And, that's pretty much it. 50 Cent, his humor can get a little dark from a Twitter perspective. And, there have been some other incidents. But I'm not, I didn't want to use him to dog him out for what he does. But I'm just wondering if the medication does affect, sometimes when he says and does certain things. We also seen the beef with Rick Ross, and they were going back at it from This Is 50. That's when that started. When he first started that website, it's like it started around that time. So that was some, time they had this brewing or whatever. But, when somebody is like on a looking like they going, move on, even if you don't like them, people are usually silent. And he was just like, he came out and, did his little statement or whatever on Twitter. I'm not going to repeat it, but, I just wonder if, the medication is, still affecting him in that way, where certain situations he can't like relate emotionally, or when he should be a little bit more, emotionally sensitive towards other people's feelings. Is it blocking him, still from feeling that? Or is it that just who he is today because of the trauma he experienced? I don't know. I would love to get an interview with 50 Cent. I'll have so many questions, because a lot of these journalists that he gets in front of, they ask the same stupid question. What inspires you? What is it? And he really has a lot of information to give, especially for parents, and grandparents, is why I wanted to also do this. Like I said, again, you may find yourself having to care for a young child that has lost a parent, and they will react. People grieve differently, and we want to be careful about medicating these children. And it would be great if 50 could come out and speak a little bit more on that and the effects of it, because a lot of moms and parents, they're lost, and they get frustrated, and they don't really know what to do with the kid, and they just like, okay, if the drug is gonna help them, slow them down a little bit, or get them where I can control them, then okay, so be it. And they don't think about the lifelong effects. Mental health is extremely important, guys. You must be in tune with yourself, and that's for 50 Cent, that's for every individual. You have to be in tune with yourself. And to me, that's finding ways to always allow yourself the freedom of honest living. And what I mean by the freedom of honest living, I mean yelling, crying, laughing, grieving, bitching, whatever it is, you allow yourself to experience each individual emotion, because it's a part of life. You should never shut your emotions off or use anything that might, shut your emotions off, because then it'll be hard for you to relate to other people and, be compassionate towards other people. So I don't know. It's I guess I would say, under these antidepressants and these different pills and treatments that they have out, it's easy to become mechanical. So we don't want to do that. And again, this is no attack on 50 Cent. I know he experienced a lot of trauma in his lifetime or whatever, and he just may be at a certain point in his life where he's just not gonna take no nonsense and just doesn't care what anybody thinks. His baby mother said something. I was gonna screenshot it, but I'm like, I don't want to be messy or whatever, because I'm not trying to be, make a messy video or whatever. But, she was very cold. She said something to the extent of his mom not being around to give him a hug. So, it was something with, their son that they share, Marquise, and I just thought that was very cold, of her to say, knowing that his mother was murdered. It's not like she walked away from him or abandoned him or anything like that. She was murdered. So, and dealing with, when you look at certain things like that, you're like, okay, well, that's what he's dealing with. That's why he act like that, or whatever. But I don't know. I hope that he reaches out. He has a new song called Crazy. That song is real. It's a little bit dark or whatever, but I was all up on it because I'm a little bit dark myself at times. So I kind of pick up on people sometimes because I see some tendencies that you see in yourself sometimes. So you just want to reach out because celebrities are people too. And I'm not like a groupie like that or whatever, but I like 50 Cent. I like him a lot, and I like the Robin Williams. And no one could tell me nothing about Robin Williams. And then when he committed suicide, it was like, what? But he's Robin Williams, so you can't get kind of caught up in that. We have to look at these celebrities as humans and individuals, and sometimes we gotta reach out to them. We curse them out all the time. I just recently cursed out 50 Cent myself. I just called him like a F-boy and all that because, I felt like he was endorsing somebody who is, a rapist or whatever. So, I like him so much. I was upset. I called him an F-boy, and then this song comes out and I felt really guilty. So that's probably another reason why I wanted to use him in this, just to like make myself feel better as well. But shout out to 50. I'm going to leave some information in the description box where you can look at the side effects of some of these drugs. Again, this is the Awareness Channel. I'm Ray Ray. I like to have conversations so that in hopes rather to spark change. Okay, so you guys have a good day, and I'm out.